So I talk about my mom. My mom always wanted to be a wanderer. She grew up in a small town outside of Wichita, Kansas, and would iron her hair on the mattress and dream about traveling the world with her acoustic guitar, singing about the magic of Jesus Christ. She went to a Quaker college to study music to make sure that this dream would come true. But then she met a Nigerian man who was studying political science. And he wore traditional garb every day and talked to her about the world and the wars he had fought, and she fell in love. He promised to take her back to Nigeria, where he had tons of houses and cars and knew important people, and this was her dream come true. But when my dad went back to Nigeria, he didn't take her with. And she was stuck with a 2-year-old and a 1-month-old and no college degree. But my mom never gave up. She just changed the definition of adventure. And for my mom, adventure was everywhere. So if our electricity got cut off, then we were campers in the middle of the woods. And she would go to the closet and pull out these old kerosene lamps. I didn't realize how dangerous our house was during this time. Because in the 80s, we had kerosene everywhere. It was amazing. And we would pull all of our food out of the fridge really quick and put it into a cooler with ice so it wouldn't stink. And if we wanted to see a movie and she didn't have money and we were whining and moaning, she would grab all the change from the house and say, "Get in the car, kids, get in the car." And we would jump in the car and she'd drive around a little bit. She'd put whatever money she had into gas. And then she would say, "Oh, look at that bus sign, 120. What's bus route 120, do you know?" And my brother, who's a little younger than me, would always, "No, what is it? Oh, what is bus 120? I don't know." And we would drive from all around the city looking for more 120 signs to see where the bus would go. And so we would drive and be like, "Oh, that's a new store. I didn't know that store was there. Wow." And maybe there would be a park. And if there was a park, oh my God, my brother would be losing his mind, just jumping in the back seat. "I want to go to the park." And we would jump out and go to the park. And it would always end, at like the Linwood Park and Ride. It was never an exciting place to end your trip, but she would always turn and be like, "You guys, wow, didn't we find the best park today? Oh, wow, now we know a new great park to go." And we would have forgotten whatever movie it was that we had wanted to see and we didn't get to see. And that was our life for a long time. It was the three of us. We were adventurers. If we got lost, that was the best opportunity, because who knows? Maybe we'd find a whole new city that we didn't even know existed before. But as I got older, I started to think that maybe my mom was a crazy person. And I would be walking around in our house with no lights, and our food was stinking, and she'd be like, "Yay, we're camping." I'm like, "What? We haven't had a phone for a year. You're ruining my social life." And I stopped playing along. I didn't want to camp. I didn't want to keep warm with my brother and my mom, and I would hide in my room and shiver in my own blankets and whine about how I didn't have a warm shower. And when we were in the car, I would never look out the window. I would just yell at my brother and shove him across the seat because he was crossing the line there, and he was way too close to touching me. And the final straw was one evening, my mom said, Kids, guess what? We're going to have a special dinner." And my brother's like, "Yay, food!" Because, he's 9. It's really easy. And I was about 11. And I'm like, whatever, with whatever preteen angst I could muster. And I get in the car and we drive and we stop. And I don't recognize where we are. And I look and I'm like, God, we're at a church. What? We haven't been in a church in 7 years. And my mom's like, "But there's spaghetti." And my brother runs out of the car. He's, "Spaghetti!" And disappears into the church. And I get into the church, and it's when I get in the church that I understand what's happening. We're at a soup kitchen. And I'm I lose it. I'm like, no. We're not these people. There's homeless people here. Like, we don't eat at a soup kitchen in our hometown, like where people that I know live. I start crying and like, no, Mom, no, don't. And she drags my hand. My brother's already like halfway down the line with his like tray like filled with spaghetti. And she's like, we're gonna go in, this is good food. And we go in and she drags me through and I get my food and we sit down. And I look at her crying and I want to say like I bucked up and ate, but no, I pouted like a giant baby the entire time. And she looked at me and she was like, what do you want from me? You have to eat. So we get back in the car and I'm pouting and I just want to go home and slam my door, with, triumph that I'm mad. And she's so slow and she's talking and then she goes, look, Ijeoma, look outside. I'm like, no. And my brother's like, oh, look, oh my God, look, it's a searchlight. Which is the most magical thing in the world. And even at 11, I can't turn on a searchlight. And I look and I'm like, oh, what? Where? And she goes, over there, look. Where do you think it goes? I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's a party. And so we start to drive off and we look for the searchlight, and that's what we do. That's our family. We're explorers.